Hey everybody, this is Craig Garber. Welcome to Everyone Loves Guitar, fresh from his European tour with the one and only blues man, Jeremiah Johnson. Couple of quick announcements, and then we'll get into this. I want to thank Jen De La Osa for connecting Jeremiah and I. Thank you, Jen. I want to also thank Josh Bell. He is a listener who's always supporting the show. Really kind. I appreciate it, Josh. If anybody wants to support the show, go to everyonelovesguitar.com/support. And I appreciate it. We all appreciate it. All right, let's talk about Jeremiah. Born and raised in St. Louis, Jeremiah Johnson began learning guitar at age 6, relocated to Houston, Texas in '99, and finished first place 3 years in a row at the Houston Regional Blues Challenges. After 10 years in Texas, he moved back to St. Louis in '09, and in '11, he won the St. Louis Blues Society IBC Challenge. And then in 2014, he recorded his first album, Grind, with Grammy Award winner Enrico Scott on drums. Grind reached number 8 on the Billboard's blues charts, which is pretty freaking cool for a first record. Congratulations.
Yeah.
In 2016, his self-produced release, Blues Heart Attack, reached number 5 on the Billboard Blues charts. Signed with Rough Records in 2018. Where are they out of?
They're out of Germany.
Man, there's so many active German labels. There's more active foreign labels than American labels for independent artists.
Yeah, I think it's just a lot of music fans over there. They really do appreciate some of the like the blues type genres, that maybe aren't as popular in the United States anymore.
But nothing's as popular anymore. I mean, because I got a bunch of guys in metal, and they're all on German labels.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. When I mean popular in the United States, I mean like the pop music,
right?
And rap country or whatever it's called.
So he signed with Rough Records in 2018. He released Straight Jacket, and that album debuted at number 1 on iTunes New Blues releases, and number 6 on Billboard Blues Album. Last year, 2019, he toured Europe, and then that was followed by a Northeastern USA tour. His new album, Heavens to Betsy, which is a good record. I checked it out. It's a great record. We'll talk about some of the songs. Just released, and he just came back from Europe, and he'll be going back out to Europe and through the USA throughout the rest of this year. Coronavirus notwithstanding, man. We could hope anyway.
True.
Dude, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you coming on the show, Jeremiah.
Hey, man, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it, man. It's nice to get somebody who cares enough about what we do to spend their time to help us out like this. Thanks, man.
Right on, man. Tell me how you first got started in the music business, and what was your first sort of break?
Well, I really first got started in it, just wanted to just play songs, in my basement. I really wasn't interested in a career or anything. In high school, I had a band, and we played the keg parties and things like that. I don't know if keg party is a thing anymore, but we used to do it all the time.
You know what? I don't know either. I thought that when you said that. I wonder if people know what keg parties are. They have to know in college there's probably still keg parties, I would imagine.
Yeah, but we did it in high school,
Yeah.
But, that was a different day. But anyway, I don't know. And then once I had a rock band, and we put together an album, and the thing did so well, we were like the, number 2 top selling band in St. Louis for about a year. And they were playing me on KC95 and stuff. And I thought, well, maybe I have a career in this music thing beyond just having fun playing at parties and stuff. And so I guess I've been doing it ever since, just been trying to pursue it. Really wasn't until the last few years, since, like you said, the Grind album, that I started getting serious about, trying to make a real career out of it, and see if I could, take care of my family as a musician. We'll see.
Yeah. Hey, but you must be, because all of the records you've made have done really well. Did you have studio, even the one you did in high school you just mentioned, did you have studio, background or something? How did you, it's not easy to make a record.
Well, the thing is, I've always been a songwriter, and so I just, I write all these songs, and I just was able, I thought, I like to think I'm pretty good at it, and so I was always able to convince people. They always liked the songs enough that they wanted to get behind me. And so I've just been able to build up fan base and get money together. And you know, since I was in the studio since high school, and I'm now almost 47, you know, I've been was in the studio a lot. And so I've had a lot of experience, you know, recording. So, it's just a steady process, man. You move forward now that I'm, you know, a lot older and been doing this a lot more, technically I've got about 10 CDs that I've done of my all original music. If you add up everything I did over my, the last few are really more where I was sort of pushing towards the blues rock genre and trying to and serious about it. And then these last few here now with Roof Records, they're really, helping get me in on an international level. But recording music's been something I've done since I was young, and I didn't have a background in it. I just studied music, and I'm kind of a music guitar gear and recording type geek.
I want to talk to you about the Bose S1, which is an amazing speaker for acoustic guitars that I've been playing lately. The S1 has two separate channels. It has one for your guitar and then another one for a microphone. And then there's a third channel you can use for a looper or for backing tracks that you could access by Bluetooth or through a 1/8 inch plug. And the S1s are also very easy to carry. It's got an easy to grab top handle and absolutely anyone can tote it around, and it's also rechargeable for up to 11 hours. The S1 was specifically designed to optimize the sound of your acoustic guitar on acoustic guitar gigs. The guitar and mic channels each have separate tone, volume, and reverb controls, and there's also a proprietary tone match switch which restores and optimizes the natural sound of your acoustic guitar, which, as you know, is typically the biggest problem with acoustic amps. Now, I tested the S1 myself, and the tone, volume, and reverb controls sound great, and they're very responsive. You can position the S1 in 4 different ways. You can tilt it back so you broadcast out to an audience, or you could put it horizontally, vertically, or on a stand. And the cool thing is the S1 has a Bose accelerometer, so it automatically adjusts the EQ and optimizes the sound for whichever one of these 4 positions you're using. The S1 also happens to be the best Bluetooth speaker that Bose makes, which is pretty compelling since Bose is known for the quality of their Bluetooth speakers. So effectively, you have an acoustic guitar amp, a PA, and a killer Bluetooth speaker all in one. And the bottom line is this. If you're an acoustic guitar player, there's absolutely nothing out there that sounds this good and this big that's also easy to carry and battery powered. As far as the Bluetooth speaker goes, I've used it many times here at home for family barbecues, and the sound is so good, my kids wind up arguing over who gets to play the music they want. You know, it's literally like having a full stereo system out on your patio. You can use the S1 for DJing, tailgating, or whatever you want. Before this, you'd have to spend a bunch of money on loads of different speakers and pedals to get the same thing the S1 does on its own. On top of that, it looks great just like all Bose devices do. And besides whatever money back guarantee you get from wherever you buy the S1, Bose also warranties the S1 for 2 years for any kind of defects in materials or performance. For more information and to find out where to get your own S1, go to everyonelovesguitar.com/S1. That's everyonelovesguitar.com/S1. Get the S1. It's outstanding. Are you looking to buy or sell a home in the Tampa Bay area without having to deal with pushy realtors? Then make sure you connect with West Florida Real Estate. West Florida Real Estate has helped over 300 homeowners and investors buy and sell their properties over the last 5 years. Their service is outstanding, just like back in the days when there was actually service in the service business, and you'll never have to deal with any kind of sales junk when you're working with them. For more information, email Ann with an E at westfloridarealestate.com. That's ANNE at westfloridarealestate.com. If you're enjoying this show and you'd like to support it, go to everyonelovesguitar.com/support. And for information on advertising, visit everyonelovesguitar.com/advertise.
You know, like I'm one of these guys that spends his time reading about microphones and guitars and every little, the circuits that are in the amps and why it does this. And I'm kind of a dork when it comes to that stuff.
That's cool. A lot of guitars. Hey man, you got to know your equipment. You know, that's your tools of your trade, man. Just like an athlete or something like that.
Yeah, and I think what happens with me is I just got sick and tired of buying junk and then losing my money on it. And
Yeah.
then after a while, you start thinking, man, I need to learn a little bit more about this so that I buy equipment from now on, I'm buying something quality that I
Yeah.
can actually resell if I want to resell it.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
You've also always been a band leader as opposed to being a sideman. As you know, running your own band, you know, you have a lot of added responsibilities. What was appealing about that versus being a sideman?
Well, I guess I just really only really got into playing music was to write songs. So the thing, it wasn't necessarily about playing the guitar or singing or anything. It was just more or less about creating my own material and being able to express myself through it. And so I didn't really have the appeal, but the truth also is that no one really ever asked me to do it. I think that, you know, once I got known as being this guy that could write his own stuff and play, and I think people just either figured I was too busy or wouldn't be interested in joining anybody else. You know, I would thoroughly enjoy playing guitar and not have the you
It's a
know,
lot.
sitting and worrying about when the next lyric is and what's going on, and you know, how far am I away from the microphone stand right now because I got a lyric coming up. You know, all these things you're thinking about when you're live. And what's real fun is I'm on this blues caravan thing for Roof Records right now, and we're doing quite a bit of touring, as you said. But part of that is I'm backing up Whitney Shea and Ryan Perry when they're doing we do some group songs. So I just play guitar. So it's kind of like for the first time, I can just sit back and worry about my tone and what pickup I'm on and really hitting the note. And, you know, I enjoy it. So,
Yeah, that's got to be fun. That's got to be like comparatively easy
oh,
compared to what
it's like,
yeah.
it's so easy. It feels like I'm just like riding, you know, got the training wheels on. I don't have to do anything, you know.
Yeah. Good for you,
But
man.
it is fun. It is fun.
Right on. Hey, so your last record or your current record, Heavens to Betsy, I really enjoyed it. There's a couple of songs I particularly like. One was Castles in the Air, and the other one was Long Way Home. So Castles in the Air it sounds like it's about a breakup. Is that what it was?
Yeah, it's kind of about a breakup, but you know, yeah, it's about a breakup, but it's sort of the idea of, hey, you know, let's not kid ourselves. This is over, you know, kind of thing.
Well, yeah, you could if you listen to the lyrics, it's pretty crystal clear, man. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, the fun thing about that song is that it started out originally as a completely different tempo and type of song. You know, it was at least half the speed, and it was more of almost a shuffle. And then I just hated it. You know, I was like, this song's horrible. I mean, there's no way I'm gonna ever record this. And then kind of we were messing around, and we kind of had the idea of what would it be like if we just blasted this thing and kind of rocked it. And I told the bass player, just ride that first, you know, the root note, dum 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 dum, and then next thing you know, there it was. So that song's kind of fun because I know where it started as something completely different, and then it turned into this really kind of fun song. And Long Way Home, is that the other one you're talking about?
Yeah, Long Way Home is a real pretty blues. It also seems like it's about a relationship, but what a pretty blues that was, man.
Well, Long Way Home is actually it is sort of a breakup, but a breakup of someone you love who you lose to dementia. My
Oh,
grandmother suffered from dementia for like the last 5 years of her life, and you know, I always used to tell a story that I remembered the last time she remembered who I was, and it was like about 3 minutes of time, and suddenly after that 3 minutes, she never remembered who I was again. You know, for many years until she finally died, and she didn't remember who anybody was really. And so I always thought to myself, you know, if I would have had those 3 minutes again, I would have said a lot more than I said. I know I wasn't really talking anything important, but I would have told her that I loved her and I appreciated all the things she did for me as a child. And she was a wonderful grandmother and all that, but I didn't get a chance to say that. And so Long Way Home is basically a song about watching a beautiful flower lose its color, decay, and die right in front of your eyes, and telling
Wow.
people that you need to take the time to take the long way home with the people that you love that are still alive while you can, because you never know when you're not going to get that chance again. And so, yes, it is about a breakup. It's about breakup of family and losing someone you really love. And, you know, it's just something that I know a lot of people go through the same thing.
Yeah.
Dementia and Alzheimer's is like a real deal. And anybody who has it suffered through that with their family knows how horrible it is. And, so it's just a little tribute to my grandmother, Mrs. Mary Agnes Johnson.
Dude, that is very cool. Thank you for sharing that. That is deep, man. It's funny you say that. I have 3 kids, and about, I don't know, 5 years ago, I read an article, and it was a young kid. I say kid, he was probably 35 or 30 years old, let's say, and he had just moved out of his parents' house, but he lived really far away, like across the country. And he did the math. He goes, between 0 and 18, my parents were always with me 24/7. And he did the math, and he said, I don't know how, he figured his parents would live to 75 or 80. And he said, but I'm on the other side of the country, so I might see them twice a year. So that means after growing up with these people and being 100% of my time with them, I may only see them 70 more times.
Yeah.
And that was pretty heavy.
Yeah. Well, what I always tell people is think about how many summers do you have left on the planet?
Right.
If you have 80, if you're lucky, you get 80 summers.
Yeah.
And, I'm getting ready to be on my 47th summer, and that means I could be more than halfway done. And so every year counts, man, because you don't have that many summers left. You know how fast time flies. I mean, it can be summer and it's going to be gone in a blink of the eye, and it's next year. And so, that's why it's important, that we all, not only tell everybody to tell them that we love them, but it's also important that we try to get, accomplish the goals that we have set for ourselves and things we want to do for our families, and if you sit around and wait and sit on the couch all day, you're not going to get it done.
Dude, that is nothing can be, you're 100% right. But one thing that article did for me is, and I still do this, I set up reminders that I call my kids at least once or twice a week. And it pops up on my screen just like everything else. And I just pick up the phone and I call them, if they haven't called me first. But boys tend to not call, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Which I'm fine with. I'm the parent. I'm thrilled that I'm great. We have a closest relationship, both of my sons, so I call them all the time. It's great. But I make sure I do that because of reading that article. I said, shit, I don't, and I can't explain this to them at this. I sent them the article, but they're too young to process it still.
Right.
Yeah. How many summers
they'll get it. Someday they'll get it.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Thank you for sharing. That was nice, man. It's a nice tribute to your grandmother, man. On the record, it sounds like you're playing at least 2 or 3 different guitars.
Well,
what were you playing?
I did use about at least three. My main guitar is a Newman guitar. So it's Ted Newman built guitars for Richards through like the 70s and 80s. For like 15 years, he was his guitar tech. And he's famous for the Newman 5-strings. I don't know if you've ever seen one.
No, I haven't. Because I was trying to figure out what guitars you were playing. I didn't recognize the logo on the headstock.
Yeah, it's Newman guitars. They're the guy named basically his protege is now taking care of the company, and it's just look them up. Newman guitars. They're custom made, one of a kind. They've got a real unique kind of shape to them.
Yes. How'd you get turned on to them?
Well, I just started, I don't know, fooling around online. Like I said, I'm always looking at equipment online. I stumbled across this, what's called a Newman. Mine's is the Newman Legacy number 3. Legacy meaning it's the last of the bodies that Ted Newman actually worked on. It's the one piece from neck through body and neck.
Very
And
cool.
he had, I think, 10 of these left after he died that he had made. And he left them for Jeff Smith. Jeff Smith's the guy who is was the protege who
Okay.
was taking over the company. And he left them for him to have these last 10 fixed up, done, and then sell them and to keep the name going. Anyway, I looked at the guitar and saw the beautiful neck on it. And despite the hefty price tag for the guitar, I was like, man, I got to have this thing. And, I couldn't tell the fiance at all how much it cost. But it's definitely the most expensive guitar I've ever bought. But man, I'm telling you, these guitars, they may not necessarily be the flashiest guitars on the planet. Their simplicity is perfect to me, and they just play like a Ferrari. I mean, when you're playing these guitars, first of all, it's 24 fret, and you've got full access all the way to the 24th fret,
which is so great.
But they just fly. I mean, like, you can just scoot on this neck. I mean, it's definitely one of the best guitars I've ever played, and I've just fell in love with it. So the Seymour Duncan pickups in it, super hot bridge pickup, and a jazz Seymour Duncan neck pickup. And man, between the two of them, I can really get a lot of tones. So I use that guitar mostly. I also then overdubbed for some of the rhythm sections where I was doubling. We did real true doubling on this record. This wasn't let's just scoot the channel over and use a computer. Everything was doubled legit with a real. Yeah. Everything I doubled on the rhythm, I used a Les Paul. That was like 80s Les Paul. And then I used a Fender Thin Line for Leo Stone to get kind of a twangy Rolling Stones type sound out of that. And then there were a couple of acoustics we did. So a 12 string and a 6 string. And it was pretty fun, man. The album really turned out, as far as guitars, the tones are insane. They're killer tones.
Sounds great. The tones are great.
I mean, it was fun. I used a Magnatone Varsity Reverb, which is a smaller, I think, 15-watt amp. That's what I my clean. So I ran that, and I also ran a 71 Bassman 50 that I had modified. Now the thing is funny because I had it modified to be more like a Marshall. I had EO 34s put in it, and I had it it's basically a Marshall. But anyway, used that with a 410 cabinet, and I did both. I recorded both, amps at the same time, and then my boards, and I got all kinds of snazzy pedals. But yeah, I was really pleased with the tone, man. It was one of the best sounding guitar tones I think I've ever had in the studio. Took it to the next level as far as tone.
Yeah, the tone sounded great throughout the whole record. What do you play through when you're on tour, amp wise?
Well, whenever I'm on tour, there's a local company here in St. Louis. It's called Khan, KHAN Audio.
Mm-hmm.
And Khan Audio makes what's called a Khan pack. And if you were at NAMM, or if you ever go to NAMM, you'll find them there. These are 18-watt amps that are, I don't know, they're small enough that they're like just fit in your hand like this. Like I bring it as a carry-on, and it's a real tube amp. He found these obscure small tubes that that are, apparently there's millions and millions of them, that they're used for televisions. As TVs started to get shrank down, they made these special tubes to get the TV smaller. Well, this thing is basically a little Marshall, but you can carry it.
It's cool.
Set up to where you can set it to 220, so it'll work in Europe or in the United States. And I just had a speaker cabinet over there. I borrowed Mike Zito. Mike Zito's a friend of mine, and he's on this. He's on Roof Records. So I borrowed his speaker cabinet, and man, I tell you what, I just have a freaking killer tone, man, over there. It's nice, cool Marshall sound out of a little 18-watt head.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I fly my pedal board over there. I have it set up to where it'll also run on 220. And yeah, I fly the pedal board over in my suitcase. So like basically I only have like a little bit of space for clothes, and the rest of my suitcase is for tone.
It's so funny, man.
I had like
But it's
4
nice
pair
not
of
having
pants.
a lot of shit to carry too, though.
Yeah, you know, and I don't, you know, when you're over there for, you know, 5 weeks, you know, I just wash my clothes in the sink, you know, this is all the stuff you do, you know.
Yeah.
I don't want to have a big, I'm not carrying you know, when you're gone for 5 weeks, you know, it's really, think about it, man. How are you going to pack for that? You
No,
know?
and then you're moving it sometimes 3-4
Yeah.
days in a row.
Well, we do 7 shows in a row and have a day off. I mean, we did 26 shows. I had 4 days off, and 2 of those days we traveled 8 hours, and 1 day we traveled 4. So they were not really days off.
Yeah, it's tough.
So yeah, you just have to learn how to do it. You know, you just get
Yeah,
through it. But
totally,
yeah, man,
man.
the Con Audio Pack Amp, man, I'm telling you. And for somebody like it, I know guys that are using them in the studio. I actually used it in the studio. If you're not sure what somebody's going to have, this thing is a low wattage, so you can crank it up and really get a great freaking Marshall sound, British, nice tones, fat sound, man. And I just love that amp.
Right on, man.
My normal amp is a Magnatone single V, it's called, 410 combo. And I've been working with Magnatone now for a couple of years. Pretty much, they're my main go-to amps. But yeah, so you can also find them. The Magnatone single V combos, they have them. I know I've seen them on Sweetwater or whatever. But you can look them up. Very, very killer amp, man. They got that true vibrato. That there is no amp out there that has that kind of a pitch shifting vibrato than the Magnatone. It's very trippy and very lush and woo trippy. I just love it,
man. Hey, so you grew up in St. Louis. What was your childhood like growing up?
Well, you know, I don't know that I'm that much different than a lot of kids. I mean, I had a divorced family, you know, which, you know, is more common than I guess it was at one point. But so I was moved all around a lot, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I lived it. I never really stayed in one school or city, you know, for more than a few years at a time, you know. But I mean, my childhood was, you know, I grew up in the inner city as a kid. I grew up in the inner city. I was basically a minority white kid, and, but I was lucky enough to right away be in, you know, being in a music, you know, art school.
Yeah.
Where I played clarinet and I studied art, and so you know, pretty much my whole life has been music. You know, even from when I was a child. You know, growing up. When I turned 13, I moved out to the county in the country with my father, and you know, that's when my dad kind of, you know, started you know, really helping me out with getting me guitars and taking me to see concerts like, you know, Stevie Ray Vaughan before he died. And, you know, the show that really started it all for me was he took me to see Alvin Lee from 10 years after.
One of my
At a
favorite
small
guitar players, man.
Yeah, he took me to see him when I was 15. And my dad, you know, he was sliding me a little whiskey seat, you know. I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. And, you know, and anyway, I was probably 20 feet from Alvin Lee, and I remember leaving that concert, and I told my dad on the way home, I was like, that is what I want to do. Because the way Alvin could just command the audience, command the guitar and sing, and just had everything, you know, it just moved me in a way that I thought, man, at that moment, I was like, that's what I want to do. And you know, so from that day on, I never stopped, you know, practicing guitar. It changed my life.
Those are some of my favorite records. Those really early 10 years after albums like Cricklewood Green. That's some great stuff on there, man.
I think that unfortunately, he just never really was as huge as he could have been, even in the United States. You know, like there's a lot of songs that don't ever get played.
Yeah.
Which now it's really too late. Now it's classic rock, but there was a lot of great tunes that they had that never really got a lot of radio play over here. But man, I think he's one of my favorite all time guitarists. You know, and a lot of it's just pure energy and spirit of the way he just attacked it. And you know, there's obviously more technical guitar players out there nowadays, you know, and at one point he might have been considered the fastest guitar player, you know,
Yeah,
blah, blah, blah.
he was.
But man, if you just listen to the pure heart and energy and attack in it, you know, I don't know. That's how you're supposed to do it to me.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's funny. I saw them, I don't know, maybe 12, 13 years ago with, you know, their new guitar player. I think his name is Joe Gooch out of England. And he did a really fine job, but I gotta believe that had to be a really difficult slot. Like,
yeah, come on. How you gonna?
You have no freedom to do anything individual. Everybody wants to hear you do Alvin Lee.
Yeah, you know, at that point, you've signed up for something that you know what it is. You know, if you agree to do that, you know, then you know what your role is. You know, you're really just there kind of filling that gap so that the bass player and the drummer can go out and call themselves 10 years after.
Pretty much, yeah. And it didn't last a long time, actually. I don't know how many years it lasted, but it wasn't that terribly long.
Yeah, and that's, you know, I would never sign up for any role like that. Come on, man. I'm not going to try to go in and
Well, the thing is, though,
I mean,
he's got gigs booked all over the world. And
yeah, that's true.
You know, nobody knew who Joe Gooch was before that.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, so it's, you know, I agree with what you're saying, but I try to look at it both sides. It's like sometimes there's no winning. Yeah, it's just like a decision, you know, which is going to be the lesser of, which is going to cause more pain or less pain, not going on tour and not getting to play all over the world, at least, or playing out there, but doing Alvin Lee lick for lick. It's a tough decision.
Well, and the truth is, honestly, in this business, man, you can't fault anybody for making a living.
Yeah, right. Especially now.
It's really hard to do. So, you know, I don't care if you're out there blowing a kazoo. You know, if you can make a living at it, you know, that's really hard to kind of fault them. You know, I get
that
it.
Might be my future, actually, blowing a kazoo. Because it ain't playing guitar. So it's interesting because you moved around a lot, but you were pretty stable with yourself. Like you moved to Houston. You were in St. Louis and you moved to Houston, and then 10 years later, which is a long time, you moved back to St. Louis and you're still there. What prompted the moves, and like what did you get out of living in Houston, musically or personally?
Oh man. Well, basically when I was 27 and I wanted to I had the opportunity to move down to Houston because my mother and sister had moved down there. And I hadn't lived with my mom since I was 13. You know, I left the divorced family. So I hadn't really got to know my mother as an adult. So I saw it as an opportunity to go down to Houston and not only reconnect with my mother and my sister, but also as an opportunity for me to see whether or not music was something I could do for the rest of my life or not. In other words, in St. Louis at that time, you know, I had a band called Jeremiah and the Bullfrog Band, and we did shows, but you know, it was mostly friends showed up, you know, people who knew me, you know.
Yeah.
So I figured if I went down to Houston, no one would know who I was at all, and if I could build a fan base in a city where I was completely unknown, then I would go ahead and do it. So I went down there to give it a try, and well, it went real well. I mean, I did good. So I'm still playing, obviously. But, yeah, I was able to build up a fan base, and I won the Houston Blues Society's International Blues Challenge there regionally and competed for them 3 years in a row. That was a solo duo. I was acoustic guy, blues guy.
Oh, interesting.
And, yeah, I did it mostly because I couldn't keep a band together down there in that big city. You know, it was really tough. You know,
Yeah, I'm sure.
Houston's huge. It's a huge city. But, you know, I did real well. So, but then after about 10 years, I got sick of the heat down there and didn't have any family living down there anymore, and kind of started growing up and realizing that, you know, that I if I didn't move back to my hometown, I wasn't going to get a chance to be around some of the people that were real important to me, you know, my friends and stuff that I you know, I had in high school that I was still friends with, and lifelong friends. And then that's where my mother and sister had moved, and my father lives up here. And so my grandmother was still alive at the time. So I was
Sure.
like, you know, I moved back. But when I got back to St. Louis, I at that point, after 10 years of doing music in Houston, I completely understood what I needed to do to create something, you know. And it was an opportunity for me to reinvent myself a little bit and start over and start making some new records and put together a new band. And you know, it went real well. You know, since I've been in St. Louis, steadily have been able to move forward. And so Houston was awesome, man. I mean, I basically went around to every jam session I could and tried to learn as many of those Texas blues riffs as I could.
Mm.
Yeah, every guy down there kind of sounds like Stevie Ray Vaughan.
I
You know
would
what I mean?
imagine. Yeah, there's a lot of that. I would
Oh my
bet.
God! That's like, you go to a blues jam session down in Houston, and you'll get the Stevie Ray Vaughan wore out. You know, but you know, I wanted to learn all that kind of style stuff, and I did pick up a lot of it. You know, and for a couple of my albums, you can really hear it. You know, did a lot of that kind of style, that Texas style stuff on my records once I got back to St. Louis. But yeah,
Well,
man.
I give you a lot of credit because, like you've mentioned several times about the importance of your family, man. That's really cool. That because it's a big sacrifice to have to move and change and do this, but you know, obviously it's worth it for your family. But you know, I give you credit for that.
Yeah, man. You know, I don't know. I just you know, I don't know. I just can't, you know, really think that it's important to stick with the people, you know, people that love you and care about you. And, you know, I honestly think that I'm really lucky to have people that support me, and especially with my music career. And there's a lot of people out there that are unfortunate that don't have anybody, man, you know, and it's sad to think about it, but it's true. I mean, there are people out there that have really horrible circumstances compared to us, you know.
Oh yeah,
Uh, these poor children that are born into situations where they don't have enough food to eat and a home, and or their parents can't take care of them, or whatever. You know, I just feel blessed, and so
yeah.
anytime I can try my best to get back to stay in touch with my family and the you know, that's important for me to be grateful of that and recognize that's something that not everybody has the privilege of having it. And so I just am thankful for it, you know.
Yeah, man, I feel the same exact way. It's funny. We went to look, think about moving. We went to look at some houses this weekend. We found a really nice place, but it was about 40 minutes away. And we left, and we kind of said, you know, maybe we'll do this. And I just said to my wife, I said, man, scratch this off your list. She goes, why? I said, because you're going to be incredibly sad going here, and I am too. And
Yeah.
I said, we're just too far from the kids. I mean, 40 minutes is not like a different state, but it's
Hey,
it's it's 10 minutes now. I can see him all the time, and I do, you
yeah.
know.
40 minutes is enough time to make you second guess whether or not you want to make a trip to go over there to hang
Right.
out and have barbecue on the back porch
That's
suddenly.
exactly right. That's it. Because they come over here all the time, and I'm like, they're not going to be driving 40 minutes because they got their own families too now.
Right.
You know, my son's not going to trek his daughter all, 40 minutes there and 40 minutes back. You know, that's exactly right. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I thought about, because they always come here. We sit out back. We have barbecues. It's great.
Right.
That's funny you said that, man. Yeah, man. Uh, what kind of work did your folks do for a living?
Well, my dad, he basically worked for an automotive industry for all of his life, you know, and retired, you know, so Ford Motor Company. So he was a UAW union auto builder, you know, auto
Right.
worker.
That's cool.
And then my mom, she started her career out with IBM repairing typewriters. And then as computers started coming around, you know, she was selected to be trained to be some of the first, you know, learn mainframe programming. And now she is, uh, I'm happy to say she's one of the, like, I think, as far as I know, she's one of the elite mainframe programmers. She works
That's
for BMC.
awesome.
So she worked for BMC Software. And, and man, I'm telling you, that stuff she does, it's completely alien language. You'll sit and look at this stuff. But anyway, so
That's
she's a
cool.
software programmer, works, programs, mainframe programming. And mostly that's the kind of stuff like high security companies like banking and stuff need mainframe programming because it's very secure. And
Yeah.
that's what she does.
I got to congratulate you. We're coming up on 700 shows, and I think you might be the first person to say the word typepwriter.
Yeah,
maybe first. I think it might have been second or first or second.
I remember
breaking new ground here.
I remember whenever we first got a typewriter that had the erase button and had the little thing where you could back up.
Oh, that was awesome. Yeah.
I just thought it was like, oh man, we've got the best thing ever now.
It's like the Jetsons.
Oh yeah, it was like space age cool, man. I was like, wow.
I remember that, man. I do remember that. Hey, you were always a blues guy then, like always attracted to blues.
I always was attracted to blues, but I really started out with what classic rock, but at the time, I guess it wasn't classic rock. I mean, I grew up on, Eric Clapton and Cream and Jimi Hendrix and all the stuff that I think that a lot of guitar players, start off with.
Sure.
Leonard Skinner and Allman Brothers and Bad Company and all those killer, the Who and, but as I got, I started getting into guitar, I realized that, I had some really nice older instructors that were like, hey, check this BB King out. And, one of the things I think that's great about blues in general, or especially BB King as a teaching tool, is the fact that, like he sat me down and said, look, here's 3 notes. These are the 3 notes. I'm going to play this rhythm pattern. You can only use those 3 notes. And you got to do an entire solo through that all the way around from the 1 through 5,
Yeah.
And that was part of how I learned guitar because I had an instructor that was smart enough to make me do that. And you learned from BB King that really you could do an entire solo with 3 notes if you learn how to bend them and move around, do just right. And so blues in general, that was kind of how I got introduced to it, in that sense. And of course, all the British guys, the Rolling Stones, and they were all that stuff. I had heard that and was a fan of that music. And Bob Seger, I'm a fan of Bob Seger and that big time. But anyway, and then as I got into guitar more and more, then Stevie Ray Vaughan in the 80s, just launched and was huge. Jimmy Vaughan at the Thunderbirds, Fabulous Thunderbirds. I mean, those were like some of my favorite. Huey Lewis and the News with the harmonica, that was kind of like when I was really opening up to music, and I sort of fell into blues. And then it wasn't until a little bit later that I started to get into some of the other old school blues artists. And I don't know. And then had a stint where I did some hard rock for a while, but always came back to the blues. And now I'm at a point where I've done a lot of blues albums and, done a lot of 145s. And with this new album, I was like, well, I really want to try to make a record that, it's more about the song and not necessarily starting off with a 145 blues pattern, and that's where I am now, so this Heavens to Betsy album is really more song orientated. I actually took lyrics and started on every song was written on an acoustic guitar. And I wanted to be able to play every song and sing it like I was at a campfire,
That's cool. You're really good, man, with I really appreciate your commitment to succeeding because like when you to pushing yourself, what I'm referring to is when you said you went to Houston. Oh, this is weird, man. You're all cloudy for some reason.
Oh,
it's
really?
Like,
well,
yeah, it's like the mic, the camera stopped focusing. Now there you go. That was weird. It's like, what do you call it? When you went to Houston, you said, hey, I want to go there and see if I can, from nothing, become something. And then you said, here, I wanted to do these songs. I wanted to see him sing them around, put them together. I could sing them around a campfire. So if you even know if there's an answer, where did that come from? Because that's that is why people are successful and why other people are not, in my opinion anyway.
Well,
It's very
I don't
disciplined.
know. I really don't know. I just understand that sometimes you've gotta challenge yourself in order to grow. And in both of the cases that you mentioned, with moving to Houston and getting in, I felt like the only way I was going to move forward was to be able to prove to myself and to make it happen, was to go to another city completely unknown and build something out of it. And then in the case with this new album, I felt like I had done a lot of blues songs, and especially now that I've been kind of in the blues market for a while now, and I've been in the charts and that, I kind of realized that there's a whole lot of guys out there that are really good at doing old school style blues. And I may never be able to do it as well as Jimmy Vaughn, well, I'm never going to be a Luther Allison. I'm not, I'm always going to be this Midwestern white boy Southern rock kid. And I said, so I'm going to just try to do this. I mean, I'm just going to make my record, and I'm going to see what happens, and sort of go against the grain and write songs that can be sang on an acoustic guitar with one guitar and at a campfire, and turn them into songs and see what happens. I think you got to challenge yourself, sometimes you can fall, obviously if you run into something like AC/DC did, then you go with it.
Yeah.
But for me, I feel like, I need to do more than just do 1-4-5 blues songs. I've got a lot more to say than that. I studied jazz in college, for a little while, and there's a lot more in me than just playing those simple patterns.
Yeah.
I guess that's what it is.
Good for you, man. I give you credit, because it takes a lot of courage and discipline to do all these things that you're talking about, to get out of your comfort zone, to not do what's easy, but to do what's right for you.
And that's really what it is.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I've done. Some people might call it crazy, or maybe I'm making the wrong move. I don't know. But I know that in my heart, I'm not going to get up there and play a bunch of songs that I don't feel from my heart. When I get up there in front of the crowd and I sing this new album and I tell them that I wrote a song called Long Way Home about my grandmother.
Yeah, that's so cool.
I seen just this weekend was some of the first CD release concerts that I put on. Both Friday and Saturday night, I packed houses, 200 seat venue. I had 200 people each show. And yesterday I had 400 people out on an outdoor concert for CD release show. So had a good weekend. And, but my point is that when I've done that Long Way Home song, I literally had grown men my age come up with tears in their eyes after I sang that song. And they heard the story about my grandmother, and they had people in their family. And so by taking that risk of saying that I'm going to try to make songs that mean something to me and not follow the norm or the easy route of just doing a simple blues pattern, I was able to touch them people and reach into their heart.
Right.
And
look at that connections that you made.
Connection. And I would have never had that if I wouldn't have written songs that meant something to me in my heart and was willing to put that down on a record, man.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I give you a lot of credit for doing those things, man. And it turns out good. I think when I've learned from all the great players like yourself that I've had the privilege of having here to talk to, how important that is. Because I've always been a guy, like, integrity has meant a lot to me, but I've realized from you guys, integrity isn't just like saying something and then doing it, but it's like integrity with yourself.
Yes.
Like feeling what's in your heart and doing that. And I never really did that. I never thought about that enough. I didn't do things for bad reasons, but I didn't do them for any reason, really. And then no, seriously, I just did it because I thought it was, oh, this is the normal. And I don't do that anymore. And my whole life has changed because of it, man. And I would encourage most people listen are musicians, so they already know this. But if you haven't done that, and I've talked to my kids differently now as far as what, you know, when they come to me, you know, hey, what do you think about this work? Or I say, hey, man, what feels right to you? You know,
Exactly.
and yeah, it's a wonderful thing. Totally.
It,
I mean, it's
it
totally
is, man.
organic.
It is, and our entire existence is organic. You're always changing and growing, and you just hope that you're moving forward, man. And
Yeah.
that's all. Right now I'm a new father. I just had a baby boy 6 months ago.
Oh, congratulations, man. That's nice.
Yeah, yeah. Actually,
There you go. You can see he's a
there
new
he is.
dad. There he
He's
goes.
sleeping right. He's sleeping right now.
That's so funny. Look at that, man. Well, you got about 12 years of relaxation, so enjoy it.
I start. I'm here. I am. I make a living playing music. I got this new baby boy that I'm gonna raise, and I got a fiance, and I got all these things going on, and yet I'm still willing to take a risk and do a different album and that, because I feel like it's the right thing for me to do for my family and myself.
I think it's great, man. I'm really happy for you. And keep having the
Thanks, man.
courage and discipline to keep doing that. I think it's going to pay off in spades. Any low points or dark periods you've had to deal with in life, and how'd you get through them?
Oh man, well, yeah. I mean, I've had two different times in my life where I had problems with drugs. And somehow or another, I've always been able to look at myself in the mirror and say, "Hey, man, you're really fucking up, man."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Both times it was with speed, cocaine and methamphetamine or whatever. Uh, I guess I've got something in my DNA, man. It makes me addicted. I can get
Yeah,
addicted
sure.
to stuff. And so I've, but in both the different cases, I was able to look around and go, man, what in the hell is going on with my life right now? I have let it go to hell. And I was able to get myself completely out of it, just pick up and just said, no, that's enough, and not everybody can do that.
Yeah. I mean, you didn't go to like AA or NA or
No,
AA?
no,
Wow.
I just literally got
That's
to a
quite
point.
unusual. Yeah.
I just got to a point where I looked at things and I was like, that's it. I am done with this. This is just ridiculous. I got more to live for.
Good for
And,
you, man.
but I, it's funny because I sometimes say, I've told people, friends of mine, like, man, what would I have done if I wouldn't have wasted all those years, doing drugs and whatever. But then some of my older friends have told me, it's like, well, Jeremiah, you wouldn't be the same person today if you wouldn't have went
Yeah.
through.
You cannot, you can't ever look in the rearview mirror. There's no upside to look. You might be dead because maybe you were busy getting high. And if you weren't, you would have got hit by a bus. I mean, you just don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's funny. And then, the truth of the matter is all those years that I was on speed, guess what I was doing? Playing guitar until like 4 a.m. I mean, I don't know that I remembered anything that I played, but when I was playing, literally, I would sit and play guitar in my little room and just till 4 or 5 in the morning until sun came up. And but yeah, but that's all in the past. And the world, we keep talking about changing and the changes in society. I know we were talking earlier before we did the interview, but that's something that's changed. I think the keg parties. Well, I grew up whenever, like, in high school, that was common. There was a keg party every weekend.
Sure.
People, it was normal for us kids, in our little town I was in, to, we find some way to get a 12-pack of beer, and we all meet up in the woods somewhere and start a fire around and get drunk and drive home, smoke pot and whatever. But I think I don't see that so much now with the kids, like, and I hope it's.
Well, I will tell you, it hasn't changed. My kids are older. No, I hate to tell you. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. So,
oh man,
it hasn't changed at all. So keep your eyes wide open, because one day your son's going to come home and you're going to be like, he's either going to tell you a story or you're going to see him and you're going to be like,
yeah,
I cannot believe this. And there's
Yeah.
no way. I remember the first time I saw one of my kids high. He came home. I just looked at him. I said, man, you're fucking high. And he goes, oh,
Yeah.
no, I'm not. I said, man, I was born at night, but not last night. What do you mean, no, you're not? You certainly are, man. And it was like, I was paralyzed. It's like, fuck, how do now I got to deal with this shit. It's bad enough, all the shit you got to do being a dad and like you don't know how to do. And now I've got to think of this. Oh my God. It was like, I was exhausted that end of that night.
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't know how to process this. I don't know how to what's the right,
Well, I agree. I appreciate
So I'm just telling you, I'm just telling you, it has not changed at all. It's gotten worse.
Oh my God.
It's gotten worse because when we were kids, right, what would we do? Drink beer. Maybe once in a while you find some way to get alcohol and smoke weed. Now all the kids go into I work out. I'm healthy. I don't take I just take vitamins. But most parents, they got like Xanax and I don't even know what, all sorts of sedatives and anti-anxiety. So the kids go into their parents' cabinets and they bring shit to school. Like, hey man, check out this. It's called Xanax.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And then with the fentanyl and all the issues, man, like we didn't have any of that.
No,
that was like way, any kind of heroin was way beyond anything that we were ever doing.
Right.
Yeah, man.
Sorry, man. I didn't want you to go through the next 13 years and thinking that didn't exist.
I don't want to be blind to what's going on, but I tell you, I've done enough partying and enough drugs that I'll be able to recognize whenever he comes to that door.
No, in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. But hopefully you remember this conversation.
I will.
That guy told me I wouldn't know how to react, and I don't know how to react. So, but hopefully it'll never happen. Hopefully your kid will be a nerd and just stay at home and play sports or guitar and do homework, and that's it.
Yeah.
Oh man. Tell me, let's talk about music just for a minute. Remember the first record you bought?
Yeah, man, I tell you what, some of the first records I bought for me, see, my parents had records, so
okay.
I can't count those, but those would be, but it would have had to have been Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band.
Yeah.
And because I think I bought with my own money would have been probably Against the Wind, which I think was 1980 or something like that. But I was a huge Bob Seger fan because my dad, they took me to see Bob Seger, and I was just like, wow, what a band, man. I mean, they were just insane. It blew my mind as a kid. But what's really funny, I mean, the first 45 I remember buying was the Harlem Globetrotters theme song.
Sweet Georgia Brown.
Yeah.
That's funny, man.
I played that 45, man, over and over and over. I just loved that song, man.
That's cool.
But man, yeah, I had all kinds of records. And that was back when we'd go to the mall and they'd have, the 45s in the store. You could flip through them or buy an album. It was different.
Tell me your top 3 Desert Island discs.
Well, I would want one of the Bob Seger live albums. I don't know whether there's the live in Chicago, 76, I think, or there's one live in Boston, 77. So I'd be one of those. I'd probably want Jim Croce's Greatest Hits.
That's a beautiful record, man.
I just love that record. Everything on that Greatest Hits album is freaking awesome. And then I guess I'd need some kind of what would be third one? Man, I don't know. I'd have to probably be an Eric Clapton album. Probably the one with cocaine on it. I can't remember the name of the album.
I think it's is it 360 or 461 Ocean Boulevard?
Yeah, that's the one. I remember the cover, but
so Criteria Studios.
It'd be probably those 3.
Good records, man. What's the most important things that you've learned about yourself?
Well, just that I think one of the most important things I've learned is that you can be and do just about anything within reason if you put your mind to it and you focus and, you work hard. there's no guarantee that you're ever going to be, as far as in music, successful in the sense of wealth, but if you work hard enough and practice hard enough, you'll learn how to play that chord and play that song or play that scale. And then if you take that and you work hard enough and write some songs and you get some guys together and work hard enough, get a good enough band together, and you can take step by step. So in the end of the day, I think what I've found out is that my life, I'm just happy. I try to look at my whole life in baby steps, meaning as long as I'm taking even a baby step forward, then I'm doing each day, then I think that's how you do it. I've been doing it. I just a baby step forward every day, not really trying to, win the lottery each day, like go huge, go small, go take little steps every day towards moving forward. You'll be surprised how far you get in about 5 or 10 years, man.
Oh, hell yeah, man.
And that's
eat the elephant one bite at a time.
Right. You just do it one little step at a time, man. And that's pretty much, that's what I would say.
That's great advice, man. Tell me the happiest moment or happiest time in your life.
Well, I mean, certainly it's got to be witnessing my son being born. I mean, I was 46 years old. I'll be 47 next week, March 11th. But, I didn't think I was going to have any children because I've been playing music my whole life. I never thought it would ever be any possibility that I could make that happen, But, seeing him born and realizing, when you have a child for the first time, it changes your perspective on everything in the world. You start thinking about how am I going to explain war?
9/11.
How am I going to explain 9/11? How am I going to explain racism? How am I going to explain all these things? It just totally different way of looking at the world, man. And even I used to tell myself that I thought that I kind of had a good idea about what it might be like to have a child or whatever. But man, you really don't until you're in that position. And honestly, if you don't feel that way, then you shouldn't be having children.
Yeah, hell yeah. Some people crack me up. They're like, well, we want to have a kid, but we thought we'd get a puppy first. I'm like, let me tell you, your dog listens to you. It doesn't work that way with kids. They have their own brains, right. And you can't say sit and then they'll say okay. You can't say go to bed. They'll say okay. You got to,
right.
It always cracks me up when I see it. It's nice intentions, but.
Well, I think having a dog first is more or less a test of whether or not they can get along themselves.
Right.
Not as any kind of litmus test of how it's going to be if they have a child.
Right.
They need to decide whether or not they can get along first, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, man. It always cracks me up, man. I wish it was that easy. It's hard. Having a kid's the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
Most important thing your dad taught you?
Well, he taught me a lot of things. Yeah. But I would say one of the most important things that he taught me, and I never forgot, was he said, son, you don't get to make up the rules in this world. You just got to play the game by the rules that are there. So you might not like it that, marijuana is illegal.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to follow the rules. That's the law. You get in trouble. You may not like it. You might not like the situation, but if you want to, you may. It's funny how over the years all this stuff is sort of how that one statement has meant something different at a different stage of my life. For example, with music, you may not like it that that if you sign up with, you got to have you already got to be able to sell out 10 cities and get 200 people in the venues to get a good booking agent, which, you pretty much already got to be successful to get a booking agency to come pick you up.
Yeah.
Well, you may not like the rule, but you don't get to make the rules. So you got to make that happen regardless whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
It's all these things, and it's the truth, no matter what you dislike or like about our government, and we don't get to make that. We don't get to control that. We just got to live with it, and you got to learn. You got to try to succeed with the rules that are set up for you. You don't get to make the rules. You know, I don't think it's fair that if I have to pay taxes for my Harley Davidson sitting in my garage that I own. I own that bike. Why in the world do I got to pay taxes on it when I paid for that bike and it's paid for? Why is my,
you
why
mean registration and stuff like that?
Well, no, I mean property tax on a motorcycle.
You have to pay property tax on a motorcycle?
In Missouri, we do.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So I'm like, so I don't like that, but I want to ride my Harley. So I have to, that's the rules that are there.
Right.
So,
no, man, I agree. That's a smart, mature attitude. Plus, it's a lot less stressful if you just say, okay, let me focus my energy on how to do this thing as opposed to how to change this thing.
Yeah. You know, I think that you just kidding yourself if you're going to sit there. I mean, I know there's a lot of people out there that, and I bless their hearts. I wish them the best.
Yes.
You might,
absolutely.
you know, you can spend a lot of energy and I hope that, you know, you get something out of it and you might be able to change this world and some of the rules. And I think the best thing that I can do personally is vote. You know, I just vote and that's, it's not my job to convince everybody in the world to agree with me. Yeah. I mean, that there's too many people out there nowadays think that if you don't agree with me, then you're wrong.
You're wrong. I know. It's really upsetting, to be honest with you.
Oh my God, it just drives me crazy, man. It's like I don't think people get it. You know that democracy is a bunch of people that don't necessarily have the same opinions on issues, but they vote, and then that's what you go with. That's how it works.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that, you know. I have friends of all different types, you know, and I get along with them all. So anyway, I don't know where I'm going with this, but
it's all right. You feel better though. How about your mom? What's the most important thing your mom taught you?
Well, I don't know. You know, my mom, she just taught a lot of, she's really been like hard work, you know, will get you somewhere kind of person, you know, like she's not really don't feel sorry for yourself kind of attitude, you know, pick yourself up and get it done kind of person. And she's strong and intelligent and really just sort of an inspiration to me. When I look at my mom, I just think of I hope that I could be that good of a parent too, you know. She's just really, she's always there for me and for any of us children, and you know, she's super intelligent, and you know, she's always, you know, there to help. She's just really good at looking at there's always an option for you, you know. It's not the end of the world. Let's get it figured out, you know.
Yeah, that's cool.
And that's what I think I want to learn from my mom the most, or at least try to admire and be like, you know.
Do you have any hobbies or interests outside of music?
Well, other than I'm kind of a dorky, like, documentary watcher, you know, I'll sit and watch documentaries all day long if I have the time to watch TV. But it's space, you know, I'm really fascinated with the space travel and space in general. Not sci-fi. I mean, I like sci-fi movies, but you know, the solar system and some of the discoveries that we've had in the last, just, you know, even in the last just 200 years are mind-blowing, in my opinion. You know, some of the things that we've been lucky enough to be alive to see.
Oh, it's a great time to be alive, man.
It's the first time in the history of human civilization that we have seen some of these planets and moons, and learn things about our soul, our universe nobody else has ever seen. You know, it's completely mind-blowing to me, you know.
That's cool. I'm always so
yeah, I mean, but I don't know if you'd call that a hobby.
No, it's an interest. Yeah, it definitely is an interest. I'm always so fascinated because some of the things people say, like what you said, are totally different. Like I had another guy, a guitar player in India, actually, who's like one of the most successful Bollywood composers, and his thing is he likes reading books on historic things about war, specifically in American history. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. And I wasn't expecting that. So I always like to hear these things because it keeps reminding me that, man, that there's lots of shit out there to be interested in,
There it is, man. It sure is. I mean, it's, and no matter what, I just happy to hear people that are interested in things like that, science and history and stuff, and not interested in reality TV crap, trash TV that's not,
Dude, I never watched television. People always say, hey, did you see, I feel like kind of ignorant. People say, do you remember that Seinfeld episode? I said, I've never watched one episode of that show. I don't watch television almost ever.
Yeah, well, I don't even, I went for years. I think I'm on probably, it's got to be 8 years now or 10 of not having cable.
That's the best.
Now I do have, I've got the Netflix and
yep, that's what we have.
And that way I can watch documentaries. Also I have the Amazon Prime, so. But I only got those so I could pull up and watch all this history and space documentaries,
Totally get
it.
Man.
That to me is different than television.
No, I meant TV, like what you just said, reality TV or sitcoms.
Right.
That's what, to me, I watch documentaries all the time.
Why in the hell would you pay money to have them give you commercials, to watch commercials? Why would you pay money to have somebody sit there and feed what bull crap in your head, man? But whenever you watch documentaries, you're using that as a tool to learn, not to be, brainwashed.
Yeah. Well, I think some people like just veg in front of the TV. I don't. I play guitar and I read, or I go out and smoke a cigar or something, but I guess I'm in the minority. You're in the minority.
Hey, man, so. I think you got the right thing going on. Keep doing what you're doing.
Hey, 3 more questions, man. And thank you for everything. Favorite place you've traveled? You've been all over quite a bit now.
Well, yeah. I mean, every place is pretty unique. I mean, I enjoy going to Canada, and everybody in Canada is really super nice, and they're really pretty. It's a pretty country up there. It's beautiful. But I mean,
and marijuana is legal there, actually.
It is. Oh yeah. It's funny because when you play up there, it's highly illegal to walk out the front door of the bar with an open container of alcohol. Like everybody's like, oh my God, you got a beer, get in. But everybody outside standing there with a joint,
Really? That's quite funny.
Yeah, they just all hang out outside the front door, and it's illegal, so they're out there smoking joints. But alcohol, is really, really heavily, which makes complete sense to me. I mean, I get it. It's dangerous to drive, way more dangerous, in my opinion, to drive drunk. But I thought that was funny, I totally got yelled at for walking out of the front door with an open beer, as if I was like, oh my God, man, hurry up and get back in.
Wow.
Because I guess the cops would give you a huge ticket for having an open container, and if they see you walk out of the bar like that. And I wasn't going to drive. I just was going to walk out there and talk to the fans,
Yeah. Now, can you smoke joints in a club? Do they let you do that?
I don't think they allow smoking in any of the clubs. So,
Okay.
I don't think it would be allowed, even if it was a cigarette.
Yeah.
But my favorite cities in Germany. I mean, I really like Bonn and I like Berlin. To bigger cities. Bonn was the capital of Germany during when they were split.
Yep.
And then, Berlin's the capital now. But what I found really interesting, in a place I'd like to go back to, is Luxembourg. That city is a country. It's a real small European country.
Yeah.
And it's kind of really Germany, but anyway, what a freaking cool city. It's like based off this medieval fort, where they used to hide out there. And all that stuff's still there. Like there's this huge moat, and there's this huge wall that surrounds the downtown part.
That's cool.
Dude, it's like I can totally see James Bond, cruising through the streets and, climbing up the edge of this thing and infiltrating this base. Like it reminded me of a James Bond movie. It was so cool. So I don't know. Anyway, Luxembourg is somewhere I'd go back to visit out of the places that I've played. You don't get to see anything when you go do these tours.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you're working.
You're working, man. It's not tourist stuff.
Toughest decision you've had to make or most difficult thing you've had to do?
Well, I might be 2 years ago. Well, I guess the beginning of 2019, the first of 2019, I had to quit my day job. I had a day job. I've always worked a day job and did music, I mean, when I say did my day job and music, I mean, I literally used every vacation day and every weekend to play music.
Yeah.
And I did that for 5 years straight up until 2019, where I never had a day off. I literally was working I was a steel worker. I was like an iron worker. I climbed up.
That is a really demanding job, man.
Yeah. So I did that during the day, worked on billboards, basically built them and stuff, real tall ones. But
how do you do that, man? Sorry, but like, I've always found that so fascinating. Like you see pictures of these iron workers putting up a building and they're walking out on this 4-inch beam and they're 60 stories up. I don't know how I couldn't do that, man.
Well, most of what I did was about 120 feet or,
that's still pretty freaking high, man.
It's
I wouldn't
enough that it doesn't, after you get so high, it doesn't really matter anymore if you go any further up. So in other words, there's no reason to worry about it. Once you're over about 30 feet, you're pretty much screwed. So you could go up a mile and it ain't gonna be any different effect. You're gonna die.
But how do you get to that?
I don't know, man. I just never been afraid of heights.
Okay.
Never been afraid of heights. And and nowadays with the safety equipment, you got something you're hooked off to at all times. And you just hopefully you're working with some smart guys that know how to operate cranes and know how to other guys up there with you that know how to work properly.
Yeah. So you would do that during the day and then go play gigs at night, man. That's wow. You must have a lot of energy, man, or sleep well.
Yeah. It wore me out, and so I guess the decision finally came when I signed with Roof Records. I signed with them in 2018, and I knew in 2019 I was going to start going to Europe with Mike. I had a tour with Mike Zito, and who's a good friend of mine, by the way. And I knew I wasn't going to be able to do it anymore. I wasn't going to be able to keep a day job. And if I was going to do music as a career, that this was the point where I had to finally just cut the cord and jump off the edge of the cliff and see if I could survive. And that was tough. I mean, I wasn't making a lot of money, but I was making, $45,000, $50,000 a year.
That's a lot of money to walk away from. Yeah.
And to lose that much money right immediately, just go, I'm done. And all my benefits and my vacation days and all the stuff that I had to give that up, my health insurance and to take that risk, and then to also at the same time,
your son
that's whenever we got pregnant with my son.
Yeah.
And so this last year, I survived. I managed to pull it off. I mean, it was bare. I had to sell a couple guitars, but I got through the year, and then now I'm a new year with this new album, Heavens to Betsy. And I took a risk again, by doing more of a Southern rock type thing and not going the easy route. But I believe that I can do this, and I believe, I believe in my music, and I believe that I got enough fans that believe in me. And I mean, my boy's gonna be all right. We're gonna do, me and my family. We're gonna take care of it.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I think you're gonna be just fine. And last question, man, what's been the biggest change in your personality over, say, the last 10 years? And how much of that has been intentional and how much is a natural part of aging?
Man, that's tough. I mean, I would say one personality, or I certainly don't drink as much alcohol as I used to. But I kind of contributed that to both getting older and just being a little bit more wise.
Yeah.
You know, as you get older, the hangovers are a little bit more of a thing. Yeah. You know, when I was in my 30s, you know, my 20s, I could get up, I could be drunk as hell, and I could get up, and I could somehow manage, no problem. 30s, you know, man, I started slowing me down a bit. 40s, forget it, man. I ain't doing nothing. If I've drank too much the night before, I can't. I'm not even functional. So I've really cut back on my drinking, you know, which is partially because of age, and also because I don't really. I'm too much on the line right now, man. I got this baby, I got this family, and I go on. When I go out and play music now, and I'm on stage, it's not like whenever I was in high school or in my 20s back in the 90s.
Yeah.
Every show is now being video recorded by every little person with a phone.
That's right.
You can't get up there and make wrong notes and make chord changes wrong and mess up, and then come back around and end the song at a high note, and everybody forgets about the mistakes. Nowadays, every show, even the smallest show, could be videotaped by somebody on a phone, and thousands of people can watch it online. And so you gotta have your crap together, man. You can't be up there jacking around, and you can't have the attitude that, well, this doesn't matter. This is a small show. There is no small show anymore. The whole world can be watching that show, and so that's changed things for me.
Good for you, man. It sounds like you're pretty responsive when you need to be, which is awesome. Hey, man. First of all, thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed talking to you. Thanks for being so open and cool, man. And I wish you tons of luck with everything you're doing, man.
Man, you too, and with you and your family too, man. And you made the right decision in not moving too far.
I know. I know. Believe me, we were both relieved when we said that. It's good that we're on the same page about it too. That's always it makes it easier too to make decisions, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, let me tell people where to find you. First of all, it's Jeremiah Johnson. If you haven't heard of Jeremiah or haven't listened to his music, please, I would strongly encourage you to do so. He's a great guitar player. He's a very good songwriter and a smart musician. You can go to his website and sign up there to get on his email list. It's jeremiahjohnsonband.com, and his first name is spelled JEREMIAH Johnson Band. You know, I know everybody like probably bothered the shit out of you when you were a kid, but that was like a Robert Redford movie.
Yeah. I was named after that movie. That movie came out late, like November, December of '72, and I was born March of '73. But you know what's funny is that I whenever I was a kid, you know, I heard that all the time, or I heard Jeremiah was a bullfrog. But now that I'm older, and like most of the people don't even really remember that Jeremiah Johnson movie, or they don't know the song. I hardly ever.
You know, I remember it. That's why I remember it. The song, it was an acoustic guitar song. It was just a really nice song. That's why I remember it.
That song is killer. But that movie is actually my favorite, my favorite movie of all movies. I mean,
he was like a bear trapper or something, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, go look for a book called Liver Eatin' Johnson.
Liver Eatin' Johnson.
Yeah. There's a book that's about the real Jeremiah Johnson.
Very cool.
That the movie was, and the book goes into all. It brings up several of the original mountain men that were of that time period. But yeah, there was a real person.
Yeah,
man, that movie
that's very cool, man.
And I, of course, being Jeremiah Johnson, I had to research it, you know.
Of course. Well, that's cool, man. You have some aura of mystique about you for baby boomers who remember that movie, so it's great. So everybody check out JeremiahJohnsonBand.com and sign up on his webpage. Also, he's on all the social media channels, which links are on his website. Check out the new record, Heavens to Betsy. And happy birthday to you, and congratulations on your 6-month-old son, man. I hope you have a great birthday. And many.
Thank you, man. Yeah, he's just starting to wake up. I'm gonna have to go in there and change his diaper and all that. But
perfect timing. Hang on 1 second. Is there anything else that I didn't mention that you want to mention? You got a tour coming up.
I would just say have people go to the website and look for the touring. I mean, I'm gonna be in the UK and Switzerland, and I got another month. I've got 2 more 1-month tours in Europe
Okay.
over this year, and then I've got some touring I'm going to do here in the United States, some big festivals that not all of it's up on the website yet. But really, just going to the website is the best thing, or follow us on Facebook, which is Jeremiah Johnson Band on Facebook. And,
Awesome. Coming down here? You coming down to Florida?
Yeah, well, I did a Florida trip last summer. I did 2 weeks down there in December, and I think we got the booking agents trying to put together another week or 2 weeks down in Florida in I guess it's February and March of next year. So
right on. Well, I'll look for you, man.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Hang on one second. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this, please share it on your social media channels. We appreciate your support. Please go to Jeremiah Johnson's website at jeremiahjohnsonband.com. Check out his music and come say hello to him if you go out and when he's on tour, if he comes to your town. And most important, remember that happiness is a choice, so choose wisely. Be nice, go play your guitar, and have fun. Till next time, peace and love, everybody. I am out. Thank you so much, brother. Appreciate it.